Thinking about the Opera House was a real struggle to begin with, and trying to process the scale of it and the importance of the building, and in the end I sort of had to put that all to bed and just treat it in isolation. My name is Jonathan Zawada, and I guess I'm an artist and a designer and a maker. Rather than grappling with all those terms, just decided I enjoy making things, whatever shape or form they take. I think early on, when I started making artwork, a lot of my world was virtual. I was a coder for a long time and built websites, and I found that using natural reference points felt like the only way to give it some reality and some tangibility to it, you know, that felt like it was emotionally correct for me. Over the years, I've been super lucky to have worked with bands like The Presets, Mark Pritchard, Wolfmother, Flume. One of the reasons I really got inspired about working with music was that it felt really important to me when I was young and I would get CDs, that the whole of the universe of the musician existed in the artwork. And it really felt depressing to me when I would get an amazing album that had terrible artwork or that didn't feel like it was up to the standard of the music. That's the bit that drives me, is really how do I create visually the universe that the musician is trying to create audibly. The part of me that really gets excited is when I'm learning something and when I'm challenged by something. And then once I've figured it out and it becomes more routine, my conscious mind steps in and it becomes less enjoyable, and I lose that sort of meditative state. I mean, the scale of this and the fact that it's happening feels very surreal to me. I took the building, modelled it, put it in my computer, and then just played with it like a little toy. And thought about it as an abstract form rather than thinking about the weight of the cultural heritage that it has, because that was sort of incapacitating me at the time. And I think the hardest challenge was really thinking about how small I could make things, and also how grand I could make things and have the viewer still be able to interpret and gather all of that from wherever they are around the harbour as well. The piece is called Meta-Mathemagical. I think the piece overall is really trying to summarise what it feels like for me to create things, and how I put that in the context of the universe creating what it creates, and how I resolve those two things. The way I've approached sort of using the Australian fauna and the flora, I've been very playful with colour and movement and things like that to hopefully have the presence of those Australian elements, but allow people to see them in a new way, because they're not the way that we're used to seeing them. They're slightly changed in sort of a more fantastical or magical way. I tend to approach things without too much intent of how I want people to feel about it. Art projects like this one are very much my response to the things that I'm trying to explore, and hopefully there's enough breadth in that people can bring their own experiences and take their own sort of emotional cues from it. You know, designing a website for the local pub, I felt so grateful as a 17-year-old that I was doing that, and I thought, that's amazing, I'm making a real website for a real company. And I have no idea where to go from this point. I think approaching the building again and realising how large it is, my tendency is just to want to crawl back into my shell for a little bit and just curl up and I guess rejuvenate a little bit.